Get ready, because we're about to explore the most critical, most talked about maritime choke point on Earth. The Strait of Hormuz isn't just a body of water, it's a global energy superhighway, a narrow passage connecting the Persian Gulf to the open ocean. But here's the kicker: this vital artery, responsible for a staggering amount of the world's oil supply, is simmering with rising tensions. We're talking about a potential trigger for a global energy crisis that could redefine our economic landscape. This is not just about distant politics, it's about your gas prices, your supply chains, and the very stability of the world economy. It's absolutely fascinating and deeply urgent. Imagine a bottleneck just 21 nautical miles wide at its narrowest point. That's the Strait of Hormuz. It's the only sea passage from the Persian Gulf to the open ocean, making it indispensable for major oil-producing nations like Saudi Arabia, Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, UAE, and Qatar. Every single barrel of crude oil and liquefied natural gas from these powerhouses must pass through this incredibly confined space. The sheer volume is mind-boggling, and its geographical constraints make it extraordinarily vulnerable. The stakes here couldn't be higher for global energy security. It's truly incredible how much hinges on this tiny strip of water. Let's talk numbers, because they paint a stark picture. Experts estimate that approximately one-third of the world's total seaborne oil, and a quarter of the world's liquefied natural gas, passes through the Strait of Hormuz daily. That's millions of barrels and vast quantities of gas powering homes and industries across the globe. Any disruption, even a minor one, sends immediate shockwaves through international markets. It's an economic lifeline for producing nations and a critical supply line for consuming nations. The world's economy absolutely depends on its smooth, uninterrupted flow. This isn't just significant, it's monumental. But wait, there's more. The Strait of Hormuz isn't just about crude oil. It's also a crucial route for refined petroleum products, petrochemicals, and even vast amounts of general cargo that fuel economies worldwide. Think about all the goods that eventually make it to your local stores, the components for your electronics, the materials for construction. Much of it relies on the safety and predictability of this maritime corridor. A disruption here doesn't just spike oil prices, it impacts global shipping, freight costs, and the availability of countless essential products. The interconnectedness is truly astounding. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room: rising tensions. The region around the Strait of Hormuz has always been geopolitically complex, but recent events have pushed it to a new level of volatility. We've seen reports of naval incidents, drone attacks, and rhetoric escalating from key regional players. These aren't isolated events, they contribute to a simmering instability that makes this vital waterway incredibly precarious. Any miscalculation or intentional act could have catastrophic consequences far beyond the immediate vicinity. It's a nail-biting situation, and the world is watching with bated breath. Imagine this scenario: a significant disruption in the Strait of Hormuz. What happens immediately? An instantaneous and dramatic spike in global oil prices. Markets react with lightning speed to any perceived threat to supply. Analysts predict that even a temporary closure could send crude oil prices soaring to unprecedented levels, possibly doubling or tripling in a matter of days. This isn't just speculation, it's a fundamental economic principle of supply and demand. The shock would reverberate globally, hitting every industry reliant on energy. It's a terrifying prospect, and the potential impact is staggering. Beyond price spikes, a major disruption would trigger an absolute nightmare for global oil supply chains. Tankers would be rerouted, delayed, or even unable to load. Refineries would face severe shortages, impacting everything from gasoline to jet fuel. Countries heavily reliant on Middle Eastern oil, particularly in Asia and Europe, would scramble for alternative sources, intensifying competition and driving prices even higher. This isn't just a bump in the road, it's a complete logistical overhaul, potentially leading to outright rationing in some regions. The complexity of this interwoven system is incredible, and its fragility is truly alarming. But the fallout doesn't stop at oil. Shipping rates for all cargo passing through or near the Strait of Hormuz would absolutely skyrocket. Why? Increased risk. Ship owners would demand higher compensation, and insurance premiums would surge, reflecting the heightened danger. These additional costs wouldn't just disappear, they'd be passed down to consumers. Imagine the domino effect. Higher shipping costs mean more expensive imported goods, from electronics to clothing. It's a direct hit to your wallet, felt in every corner of the global economy. The ripple effect is astounding and incredibly concerning. Here's where it gets really uncomfortable. A major disruption in Hormuz could unleash a powerful wave of global inflation. Higher energy costs permeate every sector of the economy. Transportation becomes more expensive, manufacturing costs rise, and agricultural production feels the pinch. Businesses face increased operational expenses, which they then pass on to consumers in the form of higher prices. Your groceries, your utilities, your daily commute, everything becomes more expensive. This isn't just an economic blip, it's a fundamental shift that could erode purchasing power for millions. It's a truly frightening prospect for economic stability. And what happens after rampant inflation? The specter of a global recession. Central banks would face immense pressure to raise interest rates to combat inflation, further slowing economic growth. Businesses would cut back on investments, hiring would freeze, and consumer spending would contract. This isn't hyperbole, it's a well-understood economic cycle triggered by severe energy shocks. A Hormuz crisis could be the catalyst that plunges the world into a prolonged economic downturn, impacting jobs, livelihoods, and financial markets across every continent. The consequences would be truly devastating on a global scale. The risk is alarmingly real. At the heart of these tensions is Iran, which borders the northern side of the strait. Due to its strategic location, Iran holds immense leverage over this vital waterway. Iranian officials have, in the past, threatened to close the strait in response to sanctions or perceived threats. While closing it completely would be a monumental act with global repercussions, even temporary disruptions or increased harassment of shipping could achieve significant economic and political goals for them. It's a powerful geopolitical card, and one they've shown a willingness to play. This makes their actions and rhetoric incredibly important to monitor. Given the critical importance of the strait, it's no surprise there's a significant international naval presence in the region. The United States Fifth Fleet, based in Bahrain, routinely operates patrols to ensure freedom of navigation. Other international navies also maintain a watchful eye. This presence is intended as a deterrent, a clear signal that disruptions will not be tolerated. But it also creates a complex, high-stakes environment where miscalculations between naval forces could quickly escalate. It's a delicate balance, a constant standoff that underlines the tension. The stakes for peace are incredibly high. You might be thinking, are there alternatives? Unfortunately, for the sheer volume of oil and gas moving through Hormuz, the answer is very limited. Some Gulf nations have pipelines that bypass the strait, like the Saudi Petroline, but these have limited capacity and are often already operating near their maximum. They simply cannot handle the entire flow. Building new pipelines or significantly expanding existing ones is a monumental, multi-decade undertaking. This means the world is, for the foreseeable future, incredibly reliant on the Strait of Hormuz. There's no easy escape route, which makes the situation even more intense. In the face of an immediate supply shock, many major consuming nations, including the United States, maintain strategic petroleum reserves. These are massive stockpiles of crude oil intended to cushion the blow of sudden disruptions. While they offer a temporary lifeline, they are not a long-term solution. Releasing reserves can stabilize markets for a period, but they would quickly deplete in the event of a prolonged Hormuz closure. They buy time, but don't solve the fundamental problem of supply loss. It's a crucial tool, but one that highlights the vulnerability. The clock is always ticking. The primary way to mitigate these risks is through intense, ongoing global diplomacy. De-escalation, dialogue, and clear communication are absolutely vital between all regional and international players. The consequences of military conflict in such a critical waterway are simply too severe to contemplate. Every nation with a stake in global energy and trade has a vested interest in maintaining the Strait of Hormuz as a safe, open passage. It's a monumental challenge, demanding statesmanship of the highest order to navigate these treacherous waters. The world needs cooler heads to prevail, now more than ever. Here's a less obvious but equally terrifying impact: food security. The global food system is heavily reliant on cheap, abundant energy for everything from fertilizer production to transportation and cold storage. Higher oil prices translate directly into higher food prices, making staple goods unaffordable for billions. Countries that import both food and oil would face a double whammy, leading to potential social unrest and humanitarian crises. This connection between energy and food is often overlooked, but a Hormuz crisis would make it painfully clear. It's a truly frightening cascade effect. We need to understand this deeply. Let's bring it home. How does all this affect you, the everyday consumer? Higher gasoline prices, obviously. But also more expensive utilities, pricier imported goods, and potentially fewer job opportunities as businesses cut back. Your travel plans could become more costly, and the stability of your savings and investments might be shaken by market volatility. A Hormuz crisis touches every single aspect of your financial life. It's a stark reminder of how interconnected our world is and how events in a distant strait can have immediate, tangible effects on your wallet and livelihood. This is why it's so important to understand. Does the ongoing energy transition reduce our vulnerability to Hormuz? Not in the short term, and perhaps not even in the medium term, say experts. While the world is shifting towards renewables, fossil fuels still dominate the global energy mix, especially for transportation and heavy industry. This reliance means that the Strait of Hormuz will remain a critical choke point for decades to come, even as renewable energy sources grow. The transition is vital for long-term energy security, but it doesn't offer an immediate shield against a Hormuz crisis. The urgency for transition is clear, but the current dependence is undeniable. Let's consider the unthinkable: a sustained, full-scale blockade or military conflict in the strait. The economic and human cost would be astronomical. Global trade would seize up, triggering an unprecedented energy crisis, widespread famine, and possibly a major international conflict. While all parties have an incentive to avoid such a catastrophic outcome, the risk of miscalculation remains disturbingly high. This isn't just about oil, it's about global stability, human welfare, and the future of international relations. The gravity of this scenario is truly immense, and it demands our full attention. It's a pivotal moment in global affairs. So, what does all this mean? It means the Strait of Hormuz is more than just a dot on a map. It's a barometer for global stability, an indicator of the interconnectedness of our world, and a potent symbol of the challenges we face in ensuring energy security. Understanding its critical role, and the immense stakes involved in the rising tensions, is absolutely essential for every global citizen. This is not a distant problem, it's a shared vulnerability. By staying informed, we can better understand the forces shaping our world and advocate for stability in this incredibly vital region. It's an urgent call to awareness.